All right, so now let's play devil's advocate. Not even devil's advocate. I personally want to know. My company focuses more on the listing side of the business than the buyer side of the business,
Yeah.
and I think mostly anyone who's doing any kind of marketing has cracked the code on how to attract more buyers. What's your take on placing specific ads to target sellers? How's that
There's
working?
a there's a couple of things you got to pay attention to here, and a couple of things I think Facebook is, if you're running paid ads, is going to start slapping people on the wrist for. So these are really important updates. Traditionally, if you would want to generate a salary, right, you would run like a home value ad. That's information that people want, and those ads still work. Where the red flag is starting to pop up is Facebook is starting to decline ads when you send somebody to a landing page to collect their address. And so you want to turn that more into a two-step, at least that's what we're seeing right now, is you can turn it into a two-step opt-in. You collect their name, email, phone number first, then take them to a page where you collect their address, or try to collect their address off of Facebook. Because I think they're eventually going to get to the second, third page, and they'll start shutting ads down for collecting private information. Now, the reason Facebook is being so strict is because of HUD. HUD came into Facebook's world 3 years ago, sued them, and got Facebook to make all of these changes that applied to realtors. And so if you're wondering why Facebook is doing this, it's because HUD is looking at them and saying realtors can even unintentionally discriminate based on the information that you're allowing them to target, or based on the addresses they're collecting. So you need to make sure that they don't do that. Now, if that's true, then I think there's a lot of big companies that would be in trouble there. So people are like, well, how can Zillow do it? How can realtor.com? And truly, Facebook's playing a bigger game than Zillow, Trulia, Realtor.com, right? So they're not going to lose a large chunk of their revenue just because of realtors. So they're going to get stringent, and I think even more so. So I think the home value ads work. Typically, what you're going to see is a 3, 4, 5x cost per lead. So if I'm getting a lead for $1 to $3 using buyer-oriented campaigns, I'm probably going to pay $12, $18, $24, $32, $36 per listing lead. And some people are perfectly fine with that. The hack that we have identified is that, statistically speaking, 52% of people that have a home they want to buy have a home to sell. So what we're actually advising our clients to do is to create what we call a homes list campaign, which I gave you in the first few minutes there. And if my average cost per lead is even $3, and one of every 2 leads is a seller, well, my cost to get a seller lead is $6. It's still better than most people running home value ads. And I'm building up a big monster database in the process, which is one of the most valuable parts of this whole process. And so I'm still an advocate for going after the number one thing that sellers want, which is to know where they're going. They want homes to look at. They want to know that they're going to be able to find a home, especially in this market, at least as we were, creating this podcast interview. And then one of my third favorite strategies is actually an old FSBO cold call trick. So the old FSBO call trick, right, is, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I love your house on 123 Main Street. I got a buyer. It's actually looking for exactly what you got. Can I come out, preview the property, blah, 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 see if it's good for my buyers. Yep, come on out. Boom, turns into a listing. That was the trick, right? Well, you can actually do the same thing on social media. There's so many buyers out there today, and they're all trying to figure out, like, how in the world can I get into a property? And so what we get the buyers to do is pull out their phones, create a 60 to 90-second video. Who are you, and why are you looking to move? What are you looking to buy? Where are you looking to relocate to? What's your timeline? Okay, well, we take those videos and we target them to sellers in the marketplace, and it's the same type of trick. You're using a buyer's story, and you're targeting it to a seller that has a property to sell potentially. Maybe that's FSBO. Maybe it's somebody that's just thinking about selling. And what's happening is sellers are sending messages to the agents. The people that they know are tagging other people like, hey, I know you're thinking about selling your home, and here's a buyer, right? We're putting the buyer out there on display as this, hey, I have a buyer that may want to pay you a ton of money for your home right now. Would you be willing to sell? Type campaigns in it. We used to call this, we still do, it's our fish in a barrel strategy, because when we started doing it 3 or 4 years ago, in the previous inventory crisis we had, nothing like today, but in the previous inventory crisis, we would start getting just crazy amounts of sellers reaching out to us. Some people from California all the way to Florida that we worked with built their entire companies using this strategy. They would get sellers that literally just come list because they could see that the buyer was real. It was right there. They were hearing their story. And so that's probably my third favorite strategy when it comes to generating sellers. So I would go homes list first, CMA or home value second, and then the buyer strategy third.
Love it, love it, love it, Grant. Grant, I want to do this. Okay, I'm thinking to myself, I'm an agent right now, and someone's listening and they're saying, I want to do this. How much money do I need to have set aside? Because I know, like you said earlier, you can place an ad right now. Within a couple of hours, you have leads coming in. But obviously, some of those leads may be good leads, bad leads, future leads, need nurturing, etc. And what I found in my experience is, people, they get into the mindset of like, I can spend $5 a day, $10 a day, $15 a day. I can do that, but they can only do that for a week or 2 or 3 weeks or a month. And then they're out of money before any of their leads get converted. And they say, oh, this stuff doesn't work. You know what I mean? Yeah. And you and I both know it works. So I think it's very important for people to know that when they come into this, look, you may hit the jackpot and your first lead may become a list or a sell, okay, but the likelihood of that happening is very unlikely, and you need to think in advance. How much money do I need to have set aside, and say to myself, I am going to deplete this marketing budget, knowing that I may have to deplete it before I get my first contract signed.